Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is November 11th, so happy Veterans Day. We are in my ore processing area, just kind of starting off here to show that this new setup I have, or put together last week, is caught up. So we can see all the, if you hold down shift, it'll stop like spazzing the screen out, and you can see all the stuff coming in and going out. I ended up to start speeding up, like exporting back to the main system, doing this where I just had multiple export buses, all exporting the same stuff, but it just wasn't able to export fast enough. So the only thing we really have in here now are abundance of galena, bastonite, which I can't remember, or I only have this saved because the ore processing wiki says to, but I've never really done anything with it. Monazite, because this stuff gets exported to the monazite line, and then oil sands, and then more bauxite. But seems like my sphalerite is the thing that keeps slow, but it is still coming up. And if we look at indium, they got 14k. Not like crazy amounts, but like still pretty good. Shoot, why is this not running? No valid recipe found. What is the last thing? Oops. Hopefully I don't break. 33,000. Huh. I'll have to look into that. I might just be going shy on sulfuric acid, which isn't surprising. There's a few older processes that I definitely need to speed up. But anyways, as you can see, we've got plenty of... This is all sped up. So... I haven't made a video since Thursday, but that's mainly because I really haven't played since Thursday. It was kind of a busy weekend. Went running around, went to Chicago, did a bunch of stuff during the day, etc., etc. So just kind of hadn't had time to play. So I figured, and then it's a little earlier today than I normally make the video, but I was starting a new process. But since I had to wait on some things to craft, I figured I would make the video now. Go through what I actually did get accomplished. So the main difference between, or main thing I did was just kind of a pet project sort of thing versus a progression where is something I've been wanting to do, which down here is basically my passive ore processing, specifically like metals that you use a lot of, that just metals we use a lot of, like say stainless steel, black steel, etc. All these guys. I wonder why neodymium. Randomly, I have ones that says using substitutions, but anyways. So I ended up setting all these guys up down here. Obviously, this is a bunch of volcanuses. What I swapped this out from before was 8 EBFs with HSG coils. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. Now, obviously, bumping these all, and they were running at IV. Now we've got all these guys running at technically ZPM because they're LEV overclocked. We've got 8 of them. Volcanus is already a bonus on top of that with Nequata alloy. So these guys are just as good as the ones on the main network, in reality, and quite beefed up. And then I also have 8 extra vacuum freezers down here. Now, I didn't do this where it's a closed loop. So before, the way I had it set up was once they got smelted in the EBF, they would come over to like a local vacuum freezer and then get kicked back in the network. I figured it would probably, just because vacuum freezers are something that actually kind of bottleneck me sometimes when I'm waiting on crafts, that I basically just have the hot ingot going back out into the main network, and then these are just 8 additional vacuum freezers to help with any hot ingot that needs to be done. So technically, some of these will go through and might get done on the vacuum freezers up there, or even the mega vacuum freezer. Or if we have a huge craft going, these guys will get utilized as well instead of just sitting here idle. Because of this, though, I did upgrade the reactors that power them up to Mox. Still not quite enough. And I immediately put these guys to 98% for heat. But I also did add a backup power from the main battery as well, just because when this thing's fully running, it actually uses just about 1,000,000 EU per tick to power all this stuff at once. So I needed help, because even with the MOX reactors, that's only about 400,000 versus like the extra 600,000 I need to come in. So that's cool that that's done. That'll help with some of my passives. And I threw a couple other things on passive, like LUV base, specifically because we actually use, more so than any of the other tiers, a lot of LUV base wire. They're like the base of the fusion reactors and stuff. So now it'll be nice to have this. And then I did Nequata alloy because we use a bunch of that, and Ruridit. So we have 10,000 Ruridit on hand, which is very nice. This was the main thing I did get done. I did start setting up patterns and did craft. Excuse me. Hop up. I keep swapping back and forth between the gravitational flight and the nano suit, just because the gravity suit is kind of rough. But up here, if we come over to my solar multi-block, it's probably the easiest place to see. I did set up so I can craft up to EV solar panels. I technically have the IV panels in here. The thing is, these need the tier 2 multi-block, which I do think I'm going to upgrade sooner than later, mainly because the gateways for like where I'm using the void miners on different planets, they actually use 8,000 EU per tick, and I thought they were supposed to get powered from this side, but these two power fails we actually have going on right now are because the two gateways on the other side to keep them powered are using all of my C18 boosted diesel, which I never went through and upgraded this part of the tower to not be reliant on that. This is actually, aside from a couple random single block stuff down here, this is the only area of the actual base that's powered by diesel anymore. And those two are distillation towers. So I wanted to craft solars to be able to help with that power. But I need to upgrade this to tier 2, that way I can have the IV block one, so that the setup's simpler, because two IV solars will more than enough power the two gateways, especially with batteries sitting there. And then it'll pull all this off. And then obviously at some point I need to upgrade all this to not be on diesel anymore, because every time I have an issue, then this processes fail. Which these two, I need to go down and actually probably, I don't know, like order of operations thing. I should probably pull these off of diesel first tonight, mainly because these two distillation towers that are like the basis for, they make ethylene and benzene basically, which are the basis for my plastics. And one of the things I actually need to do is go through and make on-demand plastics, because now I'm getting to the point where I am using big enough of recipes where my passive plastics I have on hand are not enough. Specifically, silicone rubber blocks is something I know that I can't remember what I was trying to craft to start with a little bit, or like a few minutes ago. I'm sure I'll think of it in a second, but I didn't have enough silicone on hand to craft it. So I knew I was gonna have to go through and make passive or on-demand plastics, which they all craft fast enough, so it's no big deal. It's just a matter of setting everything up. And it might just be I make 1 mega chemical reactor that chemical reactor, sorry. 1 mega LCR that makes all of those, and that's just its only function, and that should get me through for a while until I really needed to expand. Up here, as you can see, I started to set up a new area. Got a Lapitron battery. This is what I was waiting on some crafting for, specifically the quantum cases, which I'm sure are done now. It wasn't taking that long. Yeah, quantum cases. So I needed that. And then I got these casing, and I have the rest of the blocks. Basically, what I have going on here is this is going to be where my Prismarine line is. So if we come over to ZPM, I need Prismarine, which will be to get this guy. And then what ultimately the purpose of this is for is to get to these higher tier coils. I drawing another blank because it's been 4 days, but there was something I wanted to make an alloy or like to craft in the Volcanus, but I couldn't because I needed trinium coils, and maybe it was this guy. No, I don't think it was this. Now I think about it. Interesting. Not sure exactly what it was, but I needed something that with trinium coils. I'm sure I'll think of it later as well, but that's probably as soon as I stop recording. But this guy will make it so we can make the higher tier coils than Nequata alloy. So that'll be cool to get done. It looks pretty straightforward of a line. The first step of it obviously is this autoclave. I do want to use the bee recipe because it's only one bee breed away, but I can't actually breed it till I get a couple of Prismarine, which I don't think I have. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't have any. So I need to run the autoclave for a little bit first so I can make a Prismarine block so I can make the bee just to get more efficient Prismarine. But either way, the first step is this autoclave, and then coincidentally enough, from another random process I wanted to set up like a month or two ago now, we do have a ton of this red algae, which will be the base of this red algae. Yeah, we got 131k, and if for some reason I need it to go faster, like to make more, which I don't think I will, but I can come down and upgrade this multi-block. This multi-block's what gets me my algae currently. It's currently the LUV tier. To upgrade it to the UV tier or ZPM tier, it's just making the casings, which I can do, and then technically I could only make it to ZPM tier now that I say that out loud, because the way this multi-block works is it doesn't take power, but all the casings have to be the same level as these machine casings down here, so I could upgrade it to ZPM for slightly faster algae if I need to, but I have a pretty good backlog, so I don't think I will. But yeah, that's pretty much where I am currently at. My goal for tomorrow is to finish up this line and then mess around with some solar a bit. The thing that's kind of holding me back from spamming a lot of solar at the moment is steel leaf. I only have 55 currently. You need it as part of the crafting tree. It seems like there's a lot of magic intertwined with the solar, but my goal, let me rephrase this. So tiers of things I want to do: on demand, finish this Prismarine line because it looks pretty straightforward to set up on demand plastics, upgrade the solar farm or solar multi-block to tier 2 so I can make IV circuits to fix my void miner power drain problem, and then we'll go from there. And as a side, a little bit of bee breeding, and unfortunately, because of the way the steel leaf stuff is, if I end up needing more, I may have to go back to IC2 crop breeding, which I do not look forward to, but we'll do what we gotta do to keep pushing forward. But anywho, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate anybody who watched, and I will see you tomorrow. Again, happy Veterans Day. Goodbye.